Afternoon, everybody. Wanted to get this out before I go to work, and if I seemed a little drained, I, did 45 minutes of cardio and burned over 1,200 calories to 12,000. I wouldn't be conscious, probably. But I want to get this out before I have to go to that place again that drains my mental health. My schedule sucks. Anyway, 11 ways to deal with toxic people, techniques that you should be aware of and employ when dealing with toxic people of various different natures. This, of course, could be borderlines, narcissists, both covert and overts, just arrogant bastards, just people in general that something's up, and you may have to deal with, your options at the time may be to be low contact. So this is how you deal with it. Number one, and this is important in anything, have self-awareness. Know who you are, what you're capable of, what you believe in, what your values are, and what you're striving for. Do not let someone else dictate that for you. That's a pretty big free will principle too. Do not let other people tell you what you want, what your greatest desires are, or what you should be striving for, because then you're living a proxy life, which, from someone who's been there, it's not fun. It wears on you fast, and it always and just when you think it can't get any worse, it gets worse. 2, forgiveness and memory. Remember, when someone wrongs you, you do not owe them forgiveness. You can simply cut them out of your life. It's called going no contact. And in terms of memory, is remember who and what these people are. Don't forget that, because particularly with covert narcs, they'll go through cycles of where they'll change their behavior to try to, get you to go along with their agenda and do what they want. But it's a lie. It's a ploy. And it's unsustainable for them too. They haven't really changed. They're wearing a mask. I've spoke about it at length in other videos. They can't keep that act up for very long. Just enough to reel you back in. Get out there, pull me back in. I'm too tired to do impressions. My caffeine hasn't kicked in yet, and I should probably eat something. 3, have emotional stability. So have things in your life that actually help your mental health. If you're subjected to toxic environments, when you're away from that environment, you need to know and be aware of and seek out things that take some of that toxicity away, so you have some level of emotional stability. This can be very difficult at times. Trust me, I know. This can be extremely difficult for those of you that live with a toxic person, particularly a narcissist or a borderline, but find escapes, build your support system. Although in order to do that, I'm sure if you're in that situation, there's people around you that know what's up with the toxic person that are, either don't know how to approach you about it and call it out, or are too cowardice to because they feel that you can't handle the truth. Why don't you let them know that something's up? And then they'll open up about what they see and they've noticed. And that validation is very, very important in dealing with toxic people, the validation that it's not you, it's them, because they'll try blame shifting, although that's a narcissist tactic video I'm going to do in the near future. Number 4, this can be difficult for some people. INFJs aren't great at it, and ENFJs are terrible, and that, of course, is setting boundaries. Setting boundaries with the toxic people, being able to let them know what your boundaries are, and holding those boundaries, not letting them cross those boundaries, and calling them out every time that they attempt to break those boundaries, because toxic people, particularly borderlines and narcissists, have no sense of boundaries for other people, because remember, everybody is their pawn, everybody exists to serve them. They are the center of the universe, and you are lucky and should be honored to be in their orbit. At least that's how their sick minds work. Number 5, energy intelligence. And what do I mean by that? Energy intelligence is basically your mental health in that moment. Like, how are you feeling that day? Are you mentally drained? Are you, having like a day where you feel invincible? That's important to know when to engage. Now, I do advocate calling these toxic people and narcissists out, as I believe they should be exposed and seen for who they really are. And while a lot of people can see through them, very few are willing to call them out in public places, because once one person calls them out, everybody does it. I learned that when dealing with the Good Old Boys Club in Arlington. I was the first to speak out, and then, so many more followed. But somebody had to break the door down. It's basically what it is. It's like if you're familiar with firefighting, when you go into the burning building to save the people, someone's got to take the axe and the halogen bar and break the door down. Otherwise, you can't get the hose lines and stuff in and put the fire out and, do all the cool stuff. And it can be dangerous to be the one breaking the door down because you don't know what's on the other side of that door. It could flash over. It could backdraft. There's dangers. You're going into a bit of an unknown, but you can be that person. So having that energy intelligence of, knowing whether it's the right day to engage, to call this person out. Because they're going to try to strike. Toxic people know when to strike. They know when to twist the knife in you. My mother was great at that. They'll kick you when you're down. And, that's when you kind of go no contact. If you're mentally drained and a toxic person is coming at you, that's the time to gray rock. Gray rock. I did a video on gray rock. No emotion, just stoicism. Show them no fear, show them no pain, give them no reaction, and they'll get bored and move on. But take a note of what they were saying, and, on a day where you're on your game, unleash hell, Dracarys, and burn them. Metaphorically speaking, burn them with truth, as hot as dragon fire. All right, number 6, focus on the goal. What is your goal with dealing with this toxic person? Is it to expose them? Is it to go no contact? Is it to get away from them? And if it is it to help somebody else get away from a toxic person? Like, you may be a target of a toxic person, but not their main target, and you're trying to help the main target. Perhaps it's a friend, family member, somebody you're interested in romantically. It can be all different kinds of scenarios. You remember what your goal is with this toxic person. What's your end game? In anything, know what your end game is. But in this case, have a plan as to what you want the outcome to be. Be it exposing this person publicly, ripping the mask off, pulling the wool off of somebody else's eyes who knows how toxic this person is, but won't accept reality, won't accept truth, keeps making excuses for them, kind of thing. Or it could simply be just to go no contact and avoid, and go no contact and never see them again. Just cut them out. Done. Door slam them if you're an INFJ. We're good at that. Number 7, this can be tough for some people, particularly introverts, particularly INFJs, lone wolves. Seek support. As I said earlier, when a toxic person is targeting you, or if you're in a relationship with one, or if your parents one, other people see things that they're afraid to speak up about. Because, if the victim or the main victim, I dealt with this with bullying and hazing. If the main victim isn't willing to speak out, other people feel it's not their place. They feel also there's a danger when you're not the main target of, say, a narcissist. If you approach the main victim and try to, open their eyes, there could be a backlash of where that person's under such narcissistic control that they run to the narcissist. Now the narcissist comes at you, and because the narcissist controls their victim, now the victim is now cut off from you, someone who actually does care, was their support. Now the narcissist has deeper control. And most narcissists will see like, well, if they said something, then, they communicated with these other people in the victim's life. I have to cut them out too, because they'll be like, why is this person not coming around anymore? Oh, well, they said this. Can you believe that? It's like, well, everything they said was true. I've been in this situation more times than I'll admit. But that's, with seeking support, you, the main victim, have to go to people who understand, who are kind of like cracking the door, like, hey, I know what's up, like, open the door the rest of the way, come on, do it, kind of thing, because they're afraid if they do it and you're not ready to accept the truth, then the situation will get worse for the main victim. Get it? So seek support if you're the main victim. In most cases, you have at least a few people you can go to that are willing to help. Maybe even some who actually know how to deal with these situations and have dealt with them before. People who have been main victims of narcissists and borderlines in their own life in the past. Sadly, that number grows ever so higher. And that's part of the reason why this channel exists, so people know what it is they're dealing with and know how to deal with it, and then can help other people and expose the narcissist. Like myself and a lot of other channels who speak about this. Like when I was growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, well, one, there wasn't YouTube until I was in college, but two, nobody really knew about this kind of stuff. Like narcissistic abuse really wasn't, even on YouTube, wasn't talked about until about like 2012. So those of us, I'm in my 30s, that grew up with narcissistic parents when I did, it's like we knew something was wrong, but we couldn't explain it. We didn't know if anybody else could see it. And we were led to believe that there was something wrong with us that just we couldn't see. It was very, very, very weird mind games. All right, 8, control negative self-talk. So the narcissist or the toxic person tries to get you to doubt your own abilities. Therefore, that makes you more compliant to go along with their plan and, be the pawn, the trophy in their life. And they're going to get that to become a self-fulfilling prophecy with you, as to where you don't try to improve your situation. And this could be with a narcissistic boss too, that, knows you should be promoted and deserve to be, but they're lazy and you're their second in command, but they pawn off a lot of their duties on you, even though you make like a third of their salary, and they feel entitled to do that because they're an all-knowing baby boomer. Yes, Bruce, I'm talking about you. Although I did expose you too and destroyed your legacy. And for what you used to do and say to female employees, yeah, that got exposed too. Everybody knows who you really are now. You had a heart attack when it all came out, as you deserved. But you have to control the negative criticism you put on yourself. Do not believe, do not take to heart what the toxic person is trying to get you to believe, because they want to keep you down. Because if you're beaten down, you're more compliant. 9, have a solutions-oriented approach. In other words, look at various aspects in your life where the toxicity is and figure out a way out. Remember, it's not the trap, it's the escape that matters. Doesn't matter what kind of trap it is, it matters how you get out. Always plan your escape. Always have a solution as to how you're going to make this change. If you're saying to yourself, it's not that bad, it's on and off happiness, it is what it is, or everything happens for a reason, you've given up. You've given up. You're in the toxic person's chains. You've given up on getting out of that situation, living the life that you want to live. You're a slave to somebody else's will. Not good. Seek Lilith. 10, and this one I'm terrible at because I'm quite confrontational about this kind of stuff. Avoid unnecessary arguments. In other words, when the toxic person, when the narcissist is trying to trigger you into an argument, particularly in public, because they want to, they're using that blame shifting thing where it's like, see, look how emotional, my mother used to do this all the time when I was a teenager, look how emotionally unstable this person is, blah, blah. The narcissist knows what buttons to push, they know how to hit, they know when to hit. They're going to come at you at certain times when people, when they're getting looked at like, it's like, I knew there was something up, I didn't know it was this bad. They're going to try to shift the blame and try to play the victim. And they're going to try to, engage you to look bad in front of other people, so then they can do their woe is me thing that they love so much, because they get validation and supply from that. Narcissists love pity. It's why a lot of victims of narcissistic abuse are always like, no, I'm fine, don't worry about me. Yeah, I have that problem too. And 11, I saved the best for last, and this is particularly true in relationships or if you're being courted by a narcissist or a borderline. Detect false intimacy. In other words, if someone is trying to use you romantically or sexually and does not really have that emotional connection with you, but they see you as a good victim, someone they can essentially groom to be, their trophy, their main pawn in their life, and just, I know best and do what I say, and that's the best deal you'll ever have kind of thing. Detect what false intimacy is. And that's a video in itself, but it's something you have to watch out for. Usually, in something like that, people around you will be like, there's something up with this person, Oh, there'll be red flags galore that other people will see. Don't be blinded by the mask. Again, I just did a video on it. With false intimacy, the stuff that you're like, oh, well, you don't see this and this side, this and that. No, the other people don't, but the thing is that other side that they don't see is a mask and it isn't real. It's a character they're playing. A hard revelation to believe, but nonetheless true. So I hope this was helpful. These are 11, traits and tactics everyone in these situations should take to heart, deploy them at certain times. Obviously, certain situations, some are better suited for it, but most importantly, plan your end game to get away from it. Make it as tolerable as you can in the short term, but know that you have to get away, and it's never going to get any better with a toxic person or a narcissist. It's only going to get worse. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. Check out my playlist, my other videos on other topics. It's free to like and subscribe. Helps these videos help more people, because YouTube gives me no love because I'm not corporate friendly and too truthful, and I say some controversial things, and I'm a nobody. So please like and subscribe. It's free to do so. Support the channel through the links in my about section if you can, because I'm trying to make this more of a part-time job, being a struggling model and actor and loss prevention detective does have its drawbacks. Oh, so many. But thank you for your support, and I hope it was helpful.